Now we're going to reassemble the tabletop back together. We're going to need the socket with the extension, the 5/16 Allen drive, the 8 screws or bolts that we removed, the cap head bolts. They're 3/8 24 thread pitch, 3/4 inch length, and they will get blue Loctite on them before they're put in. You'll of course have to have the plate, and on the old plate you'll see these two 1 inch long 3/8 24 stainless bolts. They'll have to come out. They have nylocks on the other side. You'll remove this bracket here, and when you reassemble it onto the new plate, make sure you put anti-seize, the nickel barrier paste, on the stainless bolts so they don't gall, because these bolts will gall and seize up, and that'll ruin the bolt and the nut. If you have that happen, you have to cut them off and put new ones on, so make sure you put the anti-seize on those. They will not get Loctite because they're Nylox bolts. Then you have in the pivot bracket here, you have the actual pivot pin, and the pivot pin has a hole in it. I like to use the tapered side of the hole. You can see there's kind of a taper to it, and that's where the pitch lead screw here threads into it. You'll be turning clockwise when you go to put it back on. Before you lay the tabletop down, you want to put both the rocker arm assemblies on either side. They're called pitch plates or rocker plates, interchangeably. They have 4 holes in either side. They're 3/8 24 holes, and these things are very delicate as far as if you cross thread them, you can damage these holes. So make sure that you take your time and everything threads smoothly and easily. Don't force anything when you're putting this back together, or you could damage one of these holes. All right, the first step here is to align. You have here the threaded rod, which is the lead screw. You want it to line up with that hole right there in the pivot pin. So that's the goal, is to get this piece here and there. So what we do is we have it sitting on the arms of the MOLT, and we just lower it down. My finger through this hole here like this, it's going to give me a handle. I lower it down gently. I make sure that the side plates are on, the rocker arms are on. And then I come down here, and in here I eyeball the hole where this goes. And as I'm pulling my finger with this hole, I turn the lead screw clockwise, and when it catches, then I know I'm ready to start slowly turning in. So I have to use 2 hands to do that, and I cannot hold the camera and do that at the same time. So I'm gonna just get it started. I think you can see inside of there. A little blurry, but you can see the lead screw goes in that hole, and you're going to use this hole up top to pull it towards you as you clockwise turn the lead screw. Okay, I've got it started now, so you see it's just barely in there, but as I turn it, it's pulling the plate. You see the plate moving. So I'm going to make sure these side rocker arms stay on here nice and tight. We don't want them to slide off. So we just turn this clockwise and pull it. As we turn it clockwise, we want to try to keep it rotationally square with the tabletop, and we're looking for these holes to line up with these holes. So we want the 4th hole to be on the last one down here. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you how it looks whenever it's totally aligned. Now I've got the holes just about perfectly aligned. You can see the threads in each one of these holes in that rocker arm. And now, just like we did but in reverse, we're going to put on like it's a tire. We're going to put some Loctite on these screws. The 8 screws that are 3/4 inch length. And we're going to start them just a couple turns a piece. So this needs to be a little bit closer. You can kind of move the plate some. There we go. So that's about aligned there. So I'll put a little Loctite on it. Slide it just to the side, just a little bit. And this is where it's delicate. You got to be careful that you don't strip these out. So you just want to use your fingers, no tools on this. Just get it where it starts. If you have trouble getting it in one, try like the second one or the third one. Just make sure you do them opposite sides. So this one looks like it's a little closer here, the third one. So I'm going to move to here, and now that one's starting nice and easy. So now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to find the best one on this side. I'm going to pivot the rocket arm just enough, rocker arm, just enough where I can get this started. Put some Loctite on it. This way just a hair. The main key here is that you do not cross thread these, because they will cross thread if you're not careful. So you must Loctite them and do not cross thread them. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here and get these all started, and I'll show you the final tightening. They're all started now. I've got them just literally finger loose in here. They're just barely started. Some of them are only a thread or so. And the next step is just to go round robin and tighten them just like you would a tire, being mindful that if one binds up, to not go too tight on the others. So you want to tighten one a few turns, then go diagonal one, tighten it a few turns, and back and forth, just slowly work them together. During this process, something you have to be mindful of is that this rocker arm stays flush against this area here, because if it comes loose and pops off, you'll tighten it up and it won't be on the frame, and it'll bind, and that could strip out your bolts up top. So make sure these plates on both sides, as you're tightening, stay on the tracks that they have. Okay. Now that everything's tightened down, we snug them all up. Don't force them, don't over tighten. You just want them to be snug. Now Loctite's going to hold them in place. We want to run the lead screw and verify everything moves smoothly and properly like it's supposed to. No binding, no parts loose or rattling, and it will level out. Once you get it level, you're back in business.